I'm going to have to quit and come back, Chuck.
Okay. Live stream offline.
Why can't I hear it through?
Test 1, 2. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2.
Whoop, now I hear you. I just
You hear
heard
me? You hear me now? Okay, that's good.
Damn, this is frustrating.
Okay, I did something wrong here because I've got it streaming on Facebook.
Okay, I hear you now.
Okay, that's good. But I'm not getting it to stream on YouTube. So why not?
Check, check.
Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Still testing. And
1, 2, 3,
still
4.
not getting anything. Why?
Check, 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 check. Yeah, you can hear me.
Yep, I can hear you.
So how do I make it so that I can't hear myself? Oh, I swear, sometimes Personas just makes shit so complicated. 1, 2.
Oop, you just went mute, guy. Okay. Brittany?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Testing, testing. Can you hear me, guy?
Yes. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes, I can hear you. So we're half the way there.
Hi.
Hello,
Hey, Brittany, how are you?
Good. How are you? I need to run around and grab a few things before I'm all ready to go, but I wanted to make sure my microphone was connected and working.
Yes, your video's off, but you probably know that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. To touch up makeup and stuff, please, Chuck.
Oh, well, just ask. Guy was having a little trouble.
Joking. I'm totally joking. I have to get my drink and stuff, otherwise I'll be cranky and thirsty.
Nope, no problem.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's go.
Okay, now it seems that I'm still got to make it so that I can't hear myself. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Huh.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I am doing something wrong, and I don't know what it is. Hello, Craig.
Next question is
Test,
from
test.
Eddie Scott. Boundary layer, Mike.
I can barely hear him.
I think that's not him. I think that's Craig. I think we're hearing audio from your background.
Kind of condenser mic where it is using reflected sound. You'll see this a lot in like a high school gymnasium. Yeah, there you go. Guy has.
Okay.
Now I think I heard you, Craig.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, so I'm going to stop the live stream. So, folks, if anyone out there's, oh, wait a minute, maybe I won't. Hold on. There's David. He'll tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Hello, David.
Hello.
Hello, David.
Hey there. I didn't see the link on the page. It was on the group.
Oh, sorry. And I am fighting with Restream. I'm doing something wrong because I've got it up on Facebook, but I can't get it on YouTube. At least not so far. Let me. I'm ready to tear it down and start over again. Whoops. Oh, leave me alone, for God's sake. That's the last thing I need right there.
Is that your background, guy?
Did he really? Oh boy.
It's Craig's background.
Check, 1, 2. Everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. If I have it plugged into the Personas microphone, then
Yeah.
I can mute myself. But
I
if I
can
have it,
hear you, Guy.
Yeah, we hear you. Okay. It's much different sound than we're used to.
does it sound okay?
Kind of on the deep end.
It's fine, but not your normal standard.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm trying a different microphone. This is the Personas Revelator.
It sounds like real deep.
Yeah, it's a condenser.
You probably got also mixed down. It sounds like real deep.
Yeah, it's a condenser.
Ooh, I'm getting a feedback.
Yeah, somebody has speakers on.
Might be Craig. Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm getting a feedback.
We're hearing a lot of, Craig, we're hearing you on a big time delay.
Might be Craig.
Yeah.
Test 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, he's out.
Is that better or worse?
A little better.
Okay, now I've got YouTube working.
Oh, good.
And now I've got Facebook working.
One, 2, 3, 4.
Uh-oh. But I've also got echo on Facebook.
Testing. 1, 2. Okay.
Yeah, let's close that. Mute this. Okay, so David, now would you sound check me, please?
You saw. I'm sorry. Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
Thank you. Guy, if you can hear me, sound check it, please.
Hello there, Chuck. How are you today?
I am wonderful.
That's got to sound.
I think we got everything up and running. Brittany is making up, or whatever.
Testing 1, 2.
I've got 4 minutes till showtime. I'll be right back.
Hello, Brittany.
Hi.
How you doing?
You know, pretty good. Just getting all set up.
Aren't we all?
I think I'm going to go with warm lights.
Ooh.
Maybe I need a whole shortcut that's start MacVoices and it'll
Yeah, there you go.
get the right color temperature and everything. Come on.
There you are.
Ah, that's the Brittany we know and love.
Yes.
Aw.
Yes, we do.
I could go for serious mood lighting, but
Whatever mood you're in.
I was thinking maybe not incorrect use of Zeitgeibers for a change, which by the way is my favorite word.
Zeitgeibers?
Zeitgeibers.
Zeitgeibers.
Zeitgeibers. It's
Zeitgeibers.
they are environmental cues that cue your brain for what for anything chronological. So the color temperature would tell you if it's daytime or nighttime, sleepy time or wake time.
Then my Zeitgeibers are completely confused.
Yeah, mine too.
German words are always the best, but in general, cellular biology has the coolest words, and then neuroscience steals a few good ones. But like, if you're going into a field just for the best sounding words, cellular biology. That's not Zeitgeibers, but like ribosomes and mitochondria, those are so cool sounding. Is it just me?
No, it sounds cool.
No,
It's just
that is how cool.
I have to learn what it means.
Zeitgeibers? Or
Yeah, well, you just explained it, so yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mitochondria is how your cells use fuel to power them.
I see.
Interestingly, all of your mitochondrial DNA comes from your mother. So
Craig-
technically you have more genes from your mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking genealogy. Craig, we can hear you. Your mic is on, so can you
Okay.
hear us?
Yes.
Good. Welcome. Your camera is off, so obviously
everyone can
we
hear
can't
me.
see you. We hear
Yeah.
you.
See. There we go.
There you go. Hello.
Oh, you really kept me on mood lighting. Dang.
Yeah.
One, two, three, four.
Oh, how am I? I forgot to ask. I've just
Check,
been
check.
knocking this thing around.
You
Don't
sound
knock
good.
this-
You sound really good, Brittany. You don't sound as overblown like you have the last few weeks.
But
Do
you
I
just have
sound
to tell me
overblown?
when I'm overblown, because then I know to adjust the thing. Because I'm not set up to be able to hear myself.
Yeah. No,
Ooh.
no problem.
Maybe we can sit Kelly on that job.
Hey,
Who
you?
was that guy?
That's not me. I hope.
Well, maybe Craig.
No, he's muted. We shouldn't
Oh.
be getting anything from him.
Okay, I'm not touching anything.
Me neither.
Wasn't me.
What's wrong, Brittany?
Oh, was it Brady?
I was just trying to be quiet.
Oh,
Oh.
Well,
God, I
that's the
hate
best
when
way
that
to be
happens.
quiet is if you physically close your mouth or mute yourself.
Okay, well, that's a good point. Okay, all right. So it's the top of the hour. Let's do this. I still got to get rid of that darn. Oh, I know what it is. That's what it is. Let me switch that.
But I sound all right. I'm not like overblown or anything.
No,
it is very
no,
deep. Very deep.
But better than it was.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
It was a quality you would not have been excited about before, but I don't know
It's-
enough about audio to
it's-
describe it in
let's
words.
let's say it's not the Heil mic.
No, this is not the Heil mic. It's here. I can see it.
It's-
And I'm really tempted just to. Never mind.
Shoot.
If we talk about something
so
you're
that's
bored
why-
with, you could just swap it out.
That's why I stay. That's why I always stay with my trusty
And
mic here.
I got to do a review on this thing.
Oh. Yeah, it's got a weird compressy sound, but it's not bad. Says the person using like a $30
All right,
microphone.
I just turned off the compressor. Is that any better?
I think so.
We're still getting scratched from something.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not from me.
Okay.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Oh, Marina.
Hello, Maria.
Hey!
All right,
How you doing?
I am doing well. I don't have a real microphone though, so
You
I
sound
don't know.
fine.
I just met a
Okay.
girl named Marina.
Marina.
You sound good.
It's got the old Apple Mac background too.
Yeah, which one is it? Pop quiz.
I think
Oh,
that's
that's
is
early.
that Tiger?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Can't sneak anything
Wow.
past you.
Very nice.
Were you even using Macs when Tiger was around, Dave?
Yeah, I was.
I
I had
was.
a I had a I had a PowerBook just before my first MacBook.
Yeah. I think this is actually my first operating system with my own computer.
Yeah.
So
I need one that looks like System 6.
I had a
Sure, it's
System
out there.
6 machine.
Yeah, I did too. Mac Plus.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember what it was, but yeah,
With a
I think that
One with a 1 gigabyte SCSI drive that cost me $700.
Oh, don't do that, guy.
And I
I'll get
just couldn't
depressed on
figure out
that.
how I was ever going to fill it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get depressed about how much money I've spent on gear
Yeah.
over the years.
seriously.
Okay.
you're
I
I
talking
did
to the
tech
guy
support.
That's got like about 15 microphones over here.
Oh, you have isn't it? Don't you have to add a zero to that? 150.
150.
So
Yeah.
let's do this, guys. We're running a little behind, but I want to make sure everybody that was coming got in. So,
Hello.
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 In 3, 2, 1. Welcome to MacVoices Live. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we're live on Facebook and YouTube like we are every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. You are always welcome to join us. We'd love to have you, whether you are watching live on YouTube or on Facebook in either one of the chats, or if you'd like to be in the Zoom room, we can let you in. Or if you're watching in the feeds, because not everybody is available at this time. So we make sure that we post it to the feeds so that everybody can enjoy it. This is Holiday Party Part 2, or no, actually, I guess it's the second holiday party of 2020 and the last one. And, that's a good thing because we just all want to get 2020 over with. So let me go around the room, let you know who's here, and we'll take it from there. And I'll take my screen as always. Mr. Guy Searle is first up. Guy, still looking for the mic to make him sound like Dean Martin.
Yeah. Volare.
Oh,
Still waiting.
Oh.
Oh, still waiting. Still waiting. Hello,
Still,
Chuck. Hello,
still waiting.
panel.
Good to have you,
Match
Guy.
game 74.
David Ginsburg is here. David, welcome. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Glad to be here as always. More fun ahead here. I only have one mic. I'm happy with this one. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Next up is Brittany Smith. Brittany, you only have one big fuzzy mic.
Yeah, that's all. And another one that apparently I can never use again because it sounds awful. So yeah, that's all I got.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Joining us for the first time, I'm not sure as participant or guest or whatever, Craig, is it Craig? Am I pronouncing it right? Alabach?
Yep, Alaba. Yep.
Alabah. Good. Thank you for sticking your head in here and endangering your life with this group.
Yeah.
It is dangerous.
First time
Very-
on here, and always listen to your podcast and stuff. So I thought I'd jump on tonight and just join the Facebook group. So see what you got going on. Great.
Well, here we go.
Welcome.
Let's see. Next up, Marina Appleman. Marina, welcome. You're an unexpected pleasure. This is terrific.
Thank you, Chuck.
Hi, Marina.
Hi.
Hey, Marina.
Hi, everybody.
Podcast and
I
stuff.
have no microphones
Tonight, just
except
don't-
for
You
these
sound
AirPods
fine.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you
So-
got going on?
Is that a tiger background?
Yes.
I guessed it first.
Tiger by the
Marina
tail.
Appleman.
Nice.
Welcome. You're an unexpected pleasure. This is terrific. Okay, so we're getting a little
Thank you.
kickback on the audio from someone.
Somebody's got Facebook open,
Hi.
Facebook Live open.
Hi, everybody.
Ah,
Thank you. Whoever that
I don't
was,
know if-
you win.
that was Brittany.
No,
Oh, it wasn't
It
Brittany.
wasn't.
Okay. Well, whoever, it doesn't matter. No, Maria, thank you so much for sticking your head in. This is great. I don't think we've talked to you since before MacStock.
Perhaps that's true. Yes. Now that my Zoom teaching is over for the semester, I can use this program for fun.
It's good to have you.
yeah.
Last but absolutely not least, Ms. Kelly Gamont. Kelly, good to see you. Welcome.
Good to see you too. Nobody in Hollywood knows this, but Tony Orlando and Dawn are blank. That was for Guy. There we go. There we go.
Oh,
Match game 74.
Match game question.
I'm
Hot
thinking
married
Tony
is the
Orlando
answer.
and Dawn. Okay.
No, I
Those
thought
names that are well known, I got nothing.
like
I'm
I thought we were playing match game.
You know, one of
so-
these times, seriously, we should do something like match game.
Yes,
We
No.
absolutely.
Oh,
No.
that,
Jocko.
I'll watch
No.
from Facebook and
Hollywood
not go on
Squares.
Zoom because whoo,
no.
I could be
Match
Ellie
game.
knows I
Yes.
am not her person for her pop culture
Yeah.
references that are not Star Wars related.
I'll
She's
take
not,
Paul
if it's
in
not-
in the center square.
At least not live. I can tell you that because I want the edit pen.
Okay,
Good
Probably
point.
at all of it.
that
Yeah.
would be so much fun. It would be like
It
that
would be.
edition of The Big Lebowski where they take out all the swearing and it's like 8 minutes long.
Or
Yeah.
or like it's only for patron members or something. I'm trying to help you with your business, Chuck.
Yes, Chuck.
I wouldn't. I would
That's
not
how you
subject
kick
it-
off Mac
No,
Voices
not-
After
no.
Dark.
You want to subject the patrons.
God, you still
Mac
wanna do that?
Voices After Dark. We
After
start
dark.
the demo episode is Match Game 2021, right? Guys with me on this.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah. Guy's got a
All right.
Name the
cravat
host.
ready just
the
off
host of
frame
this.
to tie around his neck at any moment.
Dean Rayburn.
Could have been. Could have been.
Yes, please.
All
Kennedy.
right. Come. See, this is what happens when you get a party. They all come.
Yeah.
They've already had too much to drink, and then here we go.
And here's
I-
something. We could get Betty White. I think we could get Betty White.
I bet we could get her.
She was on that show many times.
She was.
Yep.
Okay.
She was.
But how many of those appearances does she remember? If even half the Match Game stories are true.
Chances are almost none of them.
See, yeah,
She was on her husband's show more password too.
that's true.
All right. Well, instead of this week in game shows, let's get back to
Game show voices today on MacVoices Live.
Man, yeah. So this is the I guess the last time we'll get together before the new year, and it is definitely a year we'd like to put behind us. But there are a couple of things that I'd like to kick around a little bit, and I'm gonna, instead of starting with the most recent one, I'm gonna go reach back into the beginning of the pandemic when we were all starting to go into lockdown. Apple received a pretty fair amount of, maybe not criticism, but a lot of questions about why they would release a new iPad at that time. And
Mhm.
I distinctly remember some of my conversations with people and like that this was disrespectful in some crazy way, or it was encouraging people to go out in some other crazy way that I really didn't understand. And I'm curious now that that's really in our rearview mirror and the new iPads are very much a part of the landscape. Do you think Apple made a mistake of any kind, or do you think that they were a little more far reaching and just said, look, we're going to try to make life as normal as possible and push ahead?
I'm
question.
not even sure it really matters
I don't
because
think so either.
most people who buy Apple devices buy it online anyway. So, whether they had Apple's, I mean, hell, they've had the Apple stores have been closed now pretty much all over the world for the last 8 months. And they're
Yeah.
still having record quarters. So,
Yeah.
it's not like they said, "Oh, here's an iPad. Everybody line up in front of the store and make sure you don't wear masks and there's all kinds of touchy feely. So let's do that."
I thought the criticism was financial because there was some job security questions.
Yeah.
Pros.
But
Well,
what I couldn't remember, because that was about 5 years ago, was
That's right. Seems like it.
Yeah, it's very fuzzy.
where
Yeah.
was that in relationship to the SE release? Because I also remember people reacting to that. I was like, are you kidding me? They just released the cheap one.
Well, they
There was
released
that
the iPad Pro was released in March. That was the one
March
we were that was the one everybody was questioning. Okay, the Pro really? I mean, because I held on to my 2018 iPad Pro. I'm fine with it.
Because they're the same.
Basically the same. Only the difference is the LiDAR and the camera, basically, but and maybe a different chip. Okay, oh well. But as time progressed, then you have the iPad Air, and then you have the base iPad model, which was a very good release because it was a major speed bump. So, but I don't really think that Apple was in that case was wrong in doing it. I mean, they wanted to put an updated model. They wanted to get that LiDAR and the three lens system on the iPads, and that was already in the works, and so they did it. And I didn't think. To me, my opinion is I don't think that was a bad thing Apple did.
No, and it makes sense because, I mean, you were having a lot of people that were suddenly having to work from home. There were a lot of kids that were suddenly having to, go to school remotely.
Zoom on iPad still sucks. Just
Oh,
saying.
yeah. And
Oh, that's
Yeah.
valid. But we also got a new MacBook Air the same day. That same March press release was also the new
Sorry,
MacBook
guys.
Air.
No.
Right.
But
No,
by having
Brittany, you're not wrong, girl.
by
I'm
having
telling you.
all of these machines that were suddenly released, it gave people choices as to where did they want to spend their money. Did they want to get something for their kids? Did they want to get something so that they could work from home? And because of pretty much how easy Apple makes stuff, it was relatively easy for a lot of people to get online and go ahead and work from home and work remotely and wherever it is.
That was like a week after they announced that Dub was virtual. I went back and pulled up the press releases for Apple for 2020 to look at to look at it, and on March 13th they came out and said that Dub was going to be all online only in June. So like if you're worried about that right now, don't be worried. It's all going to be online. Everybody can go have it. And then the 18th was the new MacBook Air, and then also the iPad Pro, the new Pro with the LiDAR scanner and everything. So that was the biggest thing. And then like I think part of it is just that it also felt like there was a lot of news from Apple this year. Maybe it's just because there wasn't a lot of other news for us to pay attention to. Like two things happened this year. Like we had a pandemic and an election, and like everything else has kind of fallen by the wayside. But it really felt like Apple sort of went through like a ton of stuff like all year long, because we got the new iPads, we got the new MacBook Air, and then we got and then they came out with
keyboard.
The hover keyboard,
Yeah.
Magic
the hover
keyboard,
keyboard, like hot on the heels of that, which was the middle of April. The middle of April was also the SE release, Brittany, that you were asking about.
I looked it up.
Apple came out with very nice second quarter numbers. Then we got a new MacBook Pro in May, and that was all May. And then June.
And they
was
fixed keyboard stuff.
Yes. We got the 16-inch last year. We got a new 13-inch with the good keyboard, with a not stupid keyboard, which was when I went, it's finally time for me to go buy a new computer. And then Apple came out in June and said, we're going to make our own processors for those computers. So Kelly, you're gonna have to wait. So I did. And then we got that in June, and then we had sort of the summer. Then we got the new Mac OS, the new iOS, the new iPad OS, the new TV OS, got all of that in September. Then we got new phones, and we got new watches in there, somewhere I don't even know anymore. They dropped an entire fitness service on us. Apple did so many things this year, and I feel like maybe it's just because I had more attention to pay to it. But
everybody was home.
But
so,
I mean,
it's like I've seen all the YouTube videos I want to see. Let me go see what Apple's doing.
Yes.
But they put out three announcement videos in an announcement video a month for 3 months in a row. like figured out how to do all of that, turn it into a package that they could just sort of give out to everybody. They jam a lot more stuff into a lot less time because those events are really efficient when you don't have to wait for everyone to finish clapping. All that stuff, like it makes a difference, but it really did feel like we got a lot out of Apple this year. And
right.
Well, it's interesting because some of it I think was sort of iterating, right? So the new iPad Pro, I mean, it's the same old iPad Pro except for a different camera, right? Yeah. And so it wasn't so much.
And for some of them, more RAM, which might have been preparing for operating systems.
I think the highest end,
right,
2018 version was using those same chips anyway. They're just making, they're just able to make more of them now. So it was really an iteration. And, same thing with MacBook Air, right? It's the same form factor. It's just they're using a different part in it, which is the keyboard. But otherwise, it was essentially the same. But, the SE.
The name of that keyboard, the non-stupid keyboard? Was that the
stupid keyboard? Well, I'm still a proud owner and user of a 2016 MacBook. The one with one USB-C port. And I'm hoping, well, right now it's completely irrelevant because I don't really leave the house anyway. So I'm using my
so you don't put everything in your backpack and go to the other end of the house? Because that's what I end up doing.
Well, so I have my office, which has a MacBook, Mac Mini in it. I have my standing desk office, which is the counter, the bar counter of my kitchen, which is where my MacBook sits. And sometimes I put an iPad next to it, so I have like an extended display. And then I have my couch computer, which is my 2013 MacBook Air.
Boy, you got it in every room.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now, none of them are portable.
I'm the only one who is running, 10.3, but yeah, and I have no inclination to update the laptops right now because what am I going to do with them? And I'm hoping that eventually they will make a 2-pound laptop again, so I can finally replace my MacBook when I actually need to pick something up and carry it out of the house. But but a lot of these products, the SE was also really an iteration of an existing phone. Yeah. So
but it was a really long time coming. Like the SE, like the rest of those are definitely evolution, not revolution. But the SE was like, I felt like the SE was at least dramatically different in the upgrade cycle. And the iPhone 12 was dramatically different in the upgrade cycle in a number of ways. But yeah, the other stuff was sort of iterating till we got the M1s. But like for complaining about Apple never releasing updates on anything, they gave us like everything this year but a new Mini and a new iMac.
To Marina's point, when do you release an iteration?
There's an M1 Mini.
Oh,
that's right. There is an M1 Mini, and Santa was good to me and gave me one. So,
just perfect fit in an extra large stocking. It's just perfect.
Yeah,
if
your stocking's big enough.
So all we didn't.
Santa made a mistake, David. He was supposed to drop that down my chimney, and he overshot Harrisburg and headed to Chicago.
Made it Chicago, sitting nicely here on my desk. So
yeah. But guys, I appreciate all the conversation, but I'm looking back and I'm still kind of hung up on the reaction to Apple doing business as normal, and of course. From where I sit, I have to believe that probably 98% of what happened throughout the year was planned. I mean, that they just kept to their time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Brittany?
And it would have been a
Marina's
mistake.
Point,
yeah, Brittany.
like when do you release an iteration? When it's ready. That's when you release it, because otherwise it's outdated. Like think about it, if they waited on the iPad Pro and they waited and now that's what the Air looks like. Like what's the difference? And so, I mean, there is a slight difference, but not very much. And so then if you wait until the Air comes out, like you release an iteration when it's ready. And that's, I just dropped my phone. And that's when you do that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the backlash was about, but, I think there's some truth to what Guy was saying, that people just stuck at home, kind of in limbo, not knowing what work looks like, what school looks like, what the world looks like. And there is some bit of news that seems to be normal, and I think everybody was just kind of questioning how to react. But, it was interesting because, right as this was happening, so my experience was that, my university was, we switched to online instruction on, so on March 11th, which was a Wednesday, it was announced that we were shutting down for the rest of the week and then starting up on Monday, doing everything online. And,
wow.
And so unlike, somebody like me, most people don't have a house full of laptops and iPads and every possible variation of Apple Pencil to, write their lectures on. And so my department and my college, they had to basically purchase and send out a bulk quantity of iPads. Now, they did not buy the new iPad Pros. They went for the cheaper ones. And, the fact that those cheaper iPads were now coming with, pencil support that made it possible for people to, to actually write on the screen comfortably and give lectures and give instruction. And my college set up a loaning service for especially our students who are from less financially well-off families who couldn't afford stuff on their own. A lot of them don't own their own touchscreen devices or computers. They were just relying on university computer labs to get everything done. And now they were sent home, and so the university just set up a loaning program and just bought or hold out of hold out of storage a whole bunch of Guy just can't help but compete.
Yeah, I know.
He keeps changing his background.
He's switching backgrounds faster than his microphones.
Yes. He's just going backwards in time.
No, but to your point, Chuck, I just as me looking through, and I'm going to be talking about this in my podcast tomorrow, although it's my year in review. If you go all the way from January, iPad turned 10 years old. That's where it started. Then until you go to the end of the year, you got the AirPods Pro Max, the AirPods Pro Max get released. So people were complaining about that, and that's just this month. And then you go all through the rest of the year. I mean, there was just complaints everywhere. Every time Apple did something, but you know what? They had an amazing year, and they did very well, and they sold a lot of great products, and they released a lot of great products. So anybody who says otherwise, I think, okay, then so be it.
Yeah, don't buy it.
Well, I agree with you, David, and I guess in retrospect, I mean, hindsight is always 20/20. But Apple, I don't know if they were one of the first, but they were certainly one that kind of drew first blood on just saying, okay, we're going to try to do business as normally as we can. We recognize there are going to have to be some difficult changes. Kelly, you referenced the WWDC changes, but that turned out so well that now I think 90% of the population out there is hoping that they continue to do it that way because it was so much under control. Well, a lot cheaper, and do we miss the in-person events? Absolutely,
so
for
much.
sure. Yeah, but they changed it and they figured out a way to do it. So I applaud them for it, and I think, okay, you guys took some of the early heat, because Marina, you were saying, I think you said March 11th. I know our office shut down March 18th, and said, yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks, and now here it is. The end of the year, and we haven't been back yet. Yeah. And doesn't look like anybody's going back anytime soon.
No,
so,
there's an extra on the thing that sticks out to me about that is I watched Soul over the holiday, and they have some extras in there. And one of the extras is like how we got the movie done. Pixar is a very collaborative environment, and it was how we finished the movie like in 2020. And so they have like one of those overhead cameras over like one of the entrances to a building at Pixar, and they have it on like high speed time lapse, and you just see the cart goes out the door full of computers and back empty, like time after time after time after time after time after time, and you just like it's almost hypnotic. After a while, you're just watching like all these monitors walk out the door, all these monitors walk out the door, and like I'm in IT as my day job, and so watching that made me very anxious. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, same here.
Like, oh my,
I'm
do
sure
they have
they check
asset
them out
tags for all
thoroughly.
of this? Like, what's yeah, like. But anyway, like that aside, like watching them talk about how some of the stuff that they have done technologically, like over the last 5 to 10 years, made it a lot easier for them to end up remote than it would have been if this had happened earlier. And I thought that was kind of an interesting take. But just watching that, like I work for an IT consulting company, so we have lots and lots of clients. If you don't want to be responsible for your own IT, you call my company. And so we have all kinds of clients, from lots and lots and lots of people with a lot of process around all of that, to like a person or two who just need somebody to make sure that the mail is always running, the mail server is always up, and that's really about it. So we have like everybody in between. And I got this job at the end of February. So like I ended up kind of in the deep end immediately with like, how do I help people who couldn't spell VPN a month ago? How do I help them all the way up to, we have it and it's up and running, and it's broken right now because too many people are trying to use it at the same time. Like, how do we help all of those people, and what do we do about all these people who want to take monitors home, and how do we solve all of these problems? And so like that was like, when I think of 2020, that's what I think of, is like kicking off my shiny new job was all helping everybody deal with this. And and I think part of Apple's stance on that was recognizing the reality of it, but not letting it impact them in a negative way. Like, we have a MacBook Air ready to ship, we're going to ship it. We recognize that it's probably not a good idea to get 50,000 people together in San Jose in June, so we're not going to do that. But we're going to make sure all the people that are showing up there for the material are going to get the material they wanted. We have the M1 ready to go. We're going to ship it this year, regardless of what it looks like by the time we're ready to get these out the door.
Well, and I agree, Kelly. I mean, if you stop and look at it from a different angle, Apple's a tool maker. And so they were shipping tools, and it ends up they were shipping tools that a lot of people needed to continue.
All of a sudden, everybody needed more tools. Yeah.
Right. I mean, you had to, because if you had kids at home, I mean, now you needed 2, 3, 4 machines of some kind, whether they were iPads or MacBook Pros or whatever. Craig, I want to make sure you get an opportunity if you have thoughts here, because trying to shoehorn into this group can be tough.
Oh, no, that's not a problem. I was just thinking as you were talking, what do you think our world would have been like, our Apple world for this year if the pandemic hadn't hit? Would we still have seen the amount of products released that we did? Or do you think that they kind of move things along a little quicker? Because obviously these things have to be in the pipeline. It's not just something you can move out right away. So would we have seen as many releases as we have? And as we went through the year, we just saw, release after release after release, I guess, keeping people's attention and on the product. So it'd be interesting if we could go back and look and say, well, if this didn't happen, would we have seen as many releases, or would we have had as many events? So that it's kind of interesting to go back and look at the.
I think so, because they, like you said, they had everything in the pipeline. They didn't just do this just because the pandemic hit. They had everything that was released this year was definitely in the pipeline. Some of the changes that might have happened, like the iPhone 12 release, that got delayed for obvious reasons, because their supply chain was hampered because of the pandemic. So, because that should have been released, and all of us should have in our hands in September. I didn't have it in my hands until November. So, and I have it now. I'm very happy, but I think in itself, that this was all planned for sure. There was no question about it.
I think they still would have had the same number of releases as far as equipment goes, but I think they would have had less events. I don't think we would have gotten September, October, November.
November.
I think presentation might have changed. I think
it would have been like a 2.5 hour event that would combine like the September and October one or the October and
Yeah.
November one.
I think we'd have gotten 2 events instead of 3. However, they split those up, like September, November, whatever. We would have had 2 live events in person there at the Steve Jobs Theater. I think Dub would have been in person this year, but I think that the online component of that would have grown. I don't think it would have grown to 100% like it did this year, but I definitely think that landscape was already changing. Because it used to be that like all the videos came out like right after the end of the conference for people who wanted to see them, and then it started to become almost real time to get those videos out the door for people who were learning. And that's one of the big public interaction with Apple moments in a year. That's why everybody's so excited to go to WWDC, is because you work on Apple stuff all the time and you get a chance to look an Apple engineer in the eye and say, I'm having this problem, this isn't working, I filed this bug, I can't solve this thing, can you help me with that? And that's like most of the reason that people are going to San Jose in June in the first place. No reasonable person goes to San Jose in June on purpose. So you have to have a really good reason. And that's a really good reason.
Kelly, we're not developers.
That's why we were there, though. We were there for WWDC. We were there for a very good reason.
I know. You just said no sane person suggested that if you weren't a developer.
Okay.
Anyway, I was just being silly.
Yeah.
Or to meet
There's a
Chuck in
difference.
person for the first
Well,
time, right?
Yeah,
There was that. Yes.
That's true. Not just obviously
Sorry, I'm
2
just
years
being
ago.
silly.
Not
but-
this year, it was last
Oh,
year.
yeah. I mean,
But I
Obviously.
think so. I think the presentation would have changed. The only thing product wise, I think might have been different is I'm not convinced that we would have gotten Fitness Plus in 2020. That's the only thing I think would have changed. I think they may have left that until early 21 to catch all the people who were going to the gym. Like we may have seen it at the November event, but I don't think it would have actually launched in December the way that it did. That's the only one that I think
Well, then
might have
they
changed.
would have delayed the whole excuse me, the whole bundle package then as well, because
Right. Well,
that
that's
was-
delayed till
Fitness
February
Plus was
anyway.
like the thing that made it. Oh, you know, you
No,
already got all
bundles-
those services. And you're
bundle-
spending about this much money.
the
for
bundle came out in
service.
September.
Oh, okay.
It was
It
definitely
was
in the
announced
works
in
already.
September.
Yeah,
It-
but
it
didn't they
came
already
out,
announce Fitness Plus?
like
They announced it.
early
Bundles?
December.
They announced it.
They
I
announced the
think
bundle in
in Dub.
September.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's already here.
Right. So,
So
and
that's
I
the only
agree
one
with
I
you.
think would have changed is just that one product. I don't think
don't know. I disagree.
Maria?
I think if you want to hit up people who are making their New Year's resolution, it has to be out there.
Oh yeah.
Exactly
No, I think
like it happened. It has to be
Well-
out there like a couple of weeks before the January 1st.
well, I think they would have announced it at whatever the November event ended up being. I think
Oh,
it would
I
have been
see.
announced there, but there wouldn't be Fitness Plus for me to do right now. It wouldn't happen until January 8th or whatever, like I think, and that's a tiny little shift. I don't think it would have, I think that's the one that might be different, but that's it.
Yeah. And Craig, I agree with what has been said. I think that we might have had a couple, 1 or 2 fewer events. But frankly, I like the way it turned out because each
Me too.
product, and I wonder if Apple learned something because each product got its own event, but more importantly, each product got its own week or 2 or so of extra coverage and extra attention. And I feel like that, I mean, I think it worked out well because we've often said, at some of these events, things just fly so thick and fast, and there's so many of them that things get overlooked. This way, it was a little more spaced out, and it felt better for me. I mean, David, you agree? It feels. Did the iOS stuff
100%.
feel better spaced out?
Oh, 100%. No, I loved, we had four total events this year when normally we'd have maybe 2. And I definitely like the way everything was spaced out, and you had each product, and in my end, what I focus on with iOS, you had that focus, and then in November when we had the Max and the M1 announcements, so it was a really nice mix across all 4 events. I really was pleased.
Yeah, I liked all the events too. I think it spread thing out. We didn't have anything better to do, I guess, so why not look at all these events and chime in? But all of us are, whether we're in education or whether we're Apple or whatever, we're looking at our world differently now. And so there's, I think about things in the restaurant business. I think about things that in the education business that we never would have done or tried. And now it looks like some of these things we're going to find out that they work better, but we never would have known it if this hadn't occurred. And so it's really a paradigm shift for us. I do some teaching too, education shift. I see what's happening in the restaurant world, with outside dining. And, how is it that you survive in this type of environment that you never would have stepped out and took the chance before, but now you do?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah,
We've seen loads of that.
Yeah, I think that's such a great point, that things got tested because of this pandemic that would never have gotten tested before, and now I wonder, because to your
That's
point,
been true in a lot of industries.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
But to your point, Craig, I think a lot more people actually watched the Apple events because they were
Yeah.
short term, not short term, but they were not 2.5 hour marathons. They were these nice, tight, concise little entertainment pieces that delivered the information. And we all know how Apple likes to control things. And I think Apple was able to control the message better than they ever have before.
I think
Guy,
you blew
did you
Guy's
have
mind there just now.
have a stroke there? Or what
He's
happened?
like, yeah, the control.
Yeah.
Oh,
We know how attention spans are. So especially for those in education, we only get about 50 minutes and then we're off,
I feel like the pandemic became a force multiplier on innovation, because we figure out a way to do this, even if it's clunky, or we don't do it at all, and not doing it is not an option. And I feel like that forced a lot of people into things that they may not have otherwise considered, tried, expended the right amount of effort on. I tried it and it was too hard, and so I gave up. That's obviously not for me. Like, when you don't have the option of that's not for me, like, you have to do whatever it is that you need to do to make that work for you. And I think that there's a lot of what happened this year to a lot of people who I will say up front are not me, because I've been working from home in this room for years. So like, everybody else having to work from home was kind of fun to watch my timeline sort of go, wow, you really do have to get up and get dressed for work every day, or you just don't feel like it. And I'm like, yeah, 2012 Kelly applauds you for coming to that conclusion.
I was really worried about the amount of time I spent on Zoom in January. I remember having this thought of like, my life is slowly becoming all about being on Zoom.
I remember.
I guess it's okay because I have a trip to California planned, and it means I can meet everyone but one client remotely, but okay. And then world ended, and now I live on Zoom.
I remember you being like, I spend a lot of time on Zoom.
yeah. Maria?
Yeah.
Marina?
Well, I was going to say that it's all well and good for people like we are here, because, without realizing it, we've been kind of, well, in some cases getting ready, in Kelly's case and in Brittany's case, living this life for many years. And it's like, hey, I do know what a VPN is, but, the reality is, and this is sort of the other side of, what this pandemic has demonstrated is, internet access in this country is atrocious.
Oh, it's
oh gosh.
In most places. And,
are you really glad that we removed that thing that we were going to try to treat internet like an essential utility? I'm really happy we got rid of that.
Well, and even before we got rid of that, I live in Michigan.
It was
right?
bad.
Right. And look, I live in Michigan. I live in Ann Arbor, which is like east side of the state, which is a decent sized city. But if you're driving, you're taking the train like across the state towards Chicago. Back when we traveled, like 15 minutes out of here, you have no LTE whatsoever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And and the cable access just doesn't exist. And yet another thing that my college had to do is they basically they were mailing like little cell reception towers to students who
like
went home. to rural Michigan, and in some places they couldn't even reach them with that, and so some of our instructors got a request like, "Can you put your lectures on a thumb drive and mail them to me?"
Yeah.
Wow.
No, I have a client who's a teacher in, a very rural area, not college. So, things that should theoretically be provided to them by the state. and yeah, it's been a real struggle, like what she can actually reasonably expect of her students.
Yeah.
Because they don't all have reliable enough internet to show up on a video call, but they're expected to anyway.
Well, that's first of all, the video call thing I think is really interesting because I tried to get video calls implemented for business for I don't know how long, and it was like,
I bet you did.
yeah, okay, well, and all of a sudden, now everybody had to do it.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
the people
That's what I
that had
mean.
paid attention.
Necessity
got
is the
ahead.
mother of invention.
Yeah.
But the other thing, let's keep this in perspective. What if this had happened, the pandemic, what if this had happened 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago? I mean, we have a lot tougher. We have the technology that at least got us by. Certainly there were rough spots and there were places that
3 years ago, we would have just been more advanced today. But
we'd have been on Skype, y'all. We'd have been on Skype.
I was on Zoom 3 years ago.
Not everyone was.
Not just
Zoom is
perceived
still
3
new.
years ago, but like actual 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
It existed as a thing, and I used it because
Yeah.
if it was a technology client, we were using it because I didn't want to have to walk them through a thing.
Yeah.
But 10 years ago would have been a different thing. 20 years ago would have been ridiculous.
You got mail.
Like,
Exactly.
It would have been.
Oh my God.
Yeah, who remembers See You, See Me? I
Yeah.
remember
I don't know.
using that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, you were looking at a thumb-sized image of, and that was a 1-to-1. Trying to do any more than that, and it was horrendous. So,
I had to put it together. Oh gosh,
if there's something to be happy about, it's this. That we've been able to keep on doing what we've done. For the most part, I know there are businesses out there that are hurting, and I absolutely have the utmost sympathy for them. But at least our world was able to keep on advancing.
Yeah.
This is a bit of a biologist perspective, but if it had been long enough ago, Chuck, we would have made a different choice about our payoff to safety ratio.
That too.
Specifically, Brittany.
No, there's no online school. Either you're going and you're going to risk infection, or we're going to have school at home. That's it. Those are your choices. Right. And actually it turns out with this disease, maybe it's not as bad as we thought it would be in schools, but still it's creepy with the long incubation period. And anyway, we would have made a different choice. And it might have resulted in more hospital overcrowding. It might have done that, but we would have made a different choice about how to strike that balance because we wouldn't have had as many options. It was long enough ago.
20 years ago, I feel pretty comfortable saying that wearing a mask would not have been a political issue either. Not to drag that into it, but that would not have been a thing where everybody gets to decide for themselves if they are emotionally prepared to put a mask on their face. Everybody would have just gone, we all need to do this for March, April, and May, because then the kids are out all summer, and then we can send everybody back to school in September. And if everybody did it all the time, we would have been fine. We know that now anyway. That's what would have happened. And it wouldn't have been more of this same sort of, it wouldn't be the situation that we're in now, because
human
as
beings
a culture,
are very good at being divisive. I believe in our ability to get political about lots of stuff that doesn't need to be.
Absolutely.
I have complete faith in humanity's ability to do that at any point in time.
But 20 years ago, I don't think we would have been quite as, we would not have been divided on a fundamental level the way we are now. And so it would have been a much easier sell to get people to just go wear a mask, and they just said, okay.
But the technology part would have been very different.
What happened after 9/11? Look what happened after 9/11.
I'm with Guy. 20 years ago was like, I was voting then.
Yeah.
It would have been still politicized. You can convince me that 25 years ago, because I didn't follow anything then. But
But also, like, after 9/11, like, there was a lot more unity there for, like, maybe half an hour. Like, everybody kind of came together and, like, put all the petty stuff aside and was able to all go,
Some
yes,
people did.
it's a good idea to do the thing. But by and large, like, the division, like, the pie chart of America then was not split up and down the middle. It was split, like, there was a little sliver
I don't know
over
if I
here,
agree
was
with
it.
that. I think back to the election of 2000, and that was very divisive.
Yes, it
And-
I
was.
voted in most of the elections that didn't win the popular vote.
The hanging Chad.
Matter, right after 9
And I'm the youngest person on here.
all of the crap that everybody was so upset about after the 2000 election just kind of went away.
That's what I
because
mean.
we had something else to think about.
Right.
Briefly.
Right. Like I said, it was like half an hour, but like it happened. And I remember
And we had a half an hour this year too. Like,
We did.
we're all
Did
stuck
we?
at home and this sucks for everybody. This is before
We
anybody
did.
had any
No,
access to masks.
No, it did.
No.
Like the
Look,
first
look,
week of March.
No.
No?
No.
I'm interested.
Well, maybe not first. So no, first week of March things were still open. So mid-March,
Mhm.
so like in Michigan, shutdown orders came out, and pretty soon after that, guys with rifles and no masks were attacking
Oh, yeah.
the Michigan State House.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it wasn't like that they
I was gonna
They
say
did
it was like the
comply-
second week of
died
March.
for a while.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was no coming together.
No,
Not for a second.
Hmm.
but that's because of
Interesting.
who America is now in 2020 is not who we were
So
5
let's
years
pull
ago.
this. Let's pull this
This
back
is-
to tech. Let's pull
Yeah.
this back to tech.
Well, I was
we're
gonna
way
say
too-
either
started this
either we
anyway.
weren't
Yeah.
either we weren't at America, or just weren't quite as online and interconnected back then, so we could just ignore each other more easily.
That's
Who said
valid.
that?
I like you.
I don't know about ignore, but I think that we could continue to do business a lot more like business was done. It just, we could do it instead of face to face, you were doing it face to screen as opposed to just email and phone calls. And I think that helped a lot.
But there was
Marina, I
also
don't-
a lot less disinformation. I just need to put that out there. There was a lot less
No,
disinformation
we're
going
not-
around.
No,
on
we're
that
not
scale.
doing. We're not doing politics. Let's not go there.
No, this
Yeah.
has nothing to do with politics. Technology made it very easy to amplify information that is not true. The end.
Okay. Okay.
So,
the end. Good.
Back when
Let's-
we, like 5 years ago,
right.
when we were talking
I
about
get it,
that was
Kelly.
harder
Let's-
to do. So that's
Let's
all.
stop it. That's it.
I'm
No
done.
more. No more
done, Chuck.
politics.
I'm done, Chuck.
But the technology part, Marina, how would your education part have handled it without the ability to do the online learning? I mean, what could have been done?
I mean, I have no idea. I think we would have tried to do. I mean, it's sort of, it's a difficult hypothetical game to play, right? Because if we're sort of stepping back before we had the technology, or also stepping back our ability to do, rapid, gene sequencing and the biological and epidemiological studies and data crunching that allowed us to figure out, sooner rather than later that masks were useful and ventilation is important and, things like that. So I don't know. I mean, we would have carried on. I was, in March, I was reading some history about what the University of Michigan has done during the 1918 pandemic. And it did have a pretty bad, I mean, they didn't stop classes or anything like that. And they did have a pretty noticeable second wave, but it apparently didn't get as bad here as it as in other parts of the country, in Pennsylvania in particular. I honestly don't know what we would have done. I mean, we might have just put some of the educational things on hold. Maybe we would have rescheduled some of the sort of winter semester for the summer so we could do more things outside. Maybe. It's hard to imagine. I mean, we certainly wouldn't have been doing what we were doing. And, there are some places in the university where, you can do certain things remotely. We have a performing arts school here, and they need rehearsal spaces. They, you can't play a tuba in a 1-bedroom apartment. You have to
Well, you
go to
can,
a
but everybody
rehearsal
in the
space.
building will hate you.
You can,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you
you
don't get to
can,
live
but-
there
But
very
not
long.
not for
Yeah.
very long. Yeah. There's
It's interesting
also
what Maria. Yeah, I think it's interesting what Maria had said earlier about the lack of broadband access in rural communities. And I know when we first started into the, schools out, how do we get to those kids that don't have that access, even in not maybe so rural areas? I mean, they had school buses going out there with Wi-Fi parked in neighborhoods. I remember when it first happened, I said, how do we get to these kids that don't have the hardware? And if they did have the hardware, they don't have the access, they don't have internet access. And so you had teachers actually making packets and
Yeah.
delivering them to students in their at their home, and then picking them up at the end of the week and scoring them. And it went on for a short period of time until we could start to figure out how we can provide broadband access or some sort of Wi-Fi access, and school bus was an alternative and others. How can we get them the access that we don't have to hand deliver things to the house and pick it up? But they were doing packets probably for a couple months,
Yeah.
probably to school let out. And
My client's still doing those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Interesting.
my father
Thank you,
back in
Craig.
the 80s in the Soviet Union was started up one of the first correspondence, one of the first companies doing prep for college admissions tests by mail, believe it or not. And it was a big country, and he was running it out of Moscow, and they had students all over the country. They were like sending problem sets to Siberia, and people were sending their solutions back. So it goes a way back, but it's a
Sure.
little easier, I think, to teach high school algebra and calculus to people who are not doing this for a grade, but they're doing it to prepare to be able to take a real test later, as opposed to teaching teaching continuously a lot of complicated subjects. But this is a big university, and it's not the kind of stuff I do is basically mathematics, applied mathematics. So I can pretty easily give a lecture on Zoom with my iPad as a whiteboard. Now, my jokes apparently are not as funny when I'm recorded and people are listening to me at 1.5 speed, but it goes by a lot faster. But we have.
I can actually see a math. Like I know, of course, I have specific learning differences that are neurodiverse, but I never heard a math lecture like actually could process it verbally until after I tried to do the homework. So I actually can see a use case for math. And I was actually a very, very good math student. but the first time I heard the material, woo, until I'd actually tried it. And so having access to the lecture after the fact would have been super useful to me.
Yes.
But you know what's funny? So when was this 2000, when did the first SARS, no, not SARS, N1 H9,
H1N1.
H1N1 was like
2002,
8, 9.
No, that was
No, yeah, 2008, maybe 12. But anyway, so this was happening during the fall semester. It was about 10 years ago, maybe a little more. So, and our, it wasn't quite as bad. It didn't turn out to be quite as bad as people were afraid. But one of the things our university was telling us is, please do whatever you can to discourage your students from coming on campus if they're sick. Just, do whatever you can to kind of discourage presenteeism.
So funny.
And it's, kind of looking back at it, it's kind of amazing because the college it wasn't university wide yet, but almost all the classrooms in the College of Engineering in my university over the previous year or two have installed these lecture capture systems, which was basically a pretty good quality camera that was hanging off the ceiling, pointing at the front of the room. And it was simultaneously recording on video and the feed from either the overhead projector or the dock camera. And
Yeah.
so, and they made it
Mhm.
incredibly easy to use it. So basically, if you were the instructor, you could just email the IT office and say, I teach such and such a class. We meet, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10:30 to noon. I want them recorded. And they just
That's
set
so
everything up. So
cool.
yeah,
That's-
it's like we're still using it. They upgrade the equipment every 5 or 6 years to
Yeah.
higher quality, etc. And nobody uses overhead dock cameras anymore, so it's just the projector, overhead projector. So yeah, and so they, and so when the university was telling us, do whatever you can to make sure these kids don't like wake up and feel kind of lousy, but they feel they should go to class anyway. So I just started recording my lectures, and I've been recording them for 10 years anyway.
That's
That is so
fantastic.
cool. For anybody
that
who
is good.
doesn't know, I know exactly one place in Michigan, and it's Ann Arbor, because it's, at least
There
in
is
my
only one
field,
place
a
in
big
Michigan.
deal. It's a really, really big deal, educationally speaking. And I never got tested, but I think I had H1N1, and I was so sick, I didn't know how sick I was, and I went back to school because I felt like I should be getting my stuff done. It was in the middle of that, so I think it was that, because I've never been that sick before, that I didn't know I was sick still. And because I
Wow.
was just completely out of it. And I totally went back to class because I was like, oh, it's been a few days. I guess I'm better now. I'll go to school.
Well, but that sounds
Yeah.
like what happens in the workplace,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I don't have sick days, or I don't want to use my sick days even though I'm sick. So I'm
And
gonna
I
go
didn't
in
want to
with
miss anything.
right, and I'm going to go in with a fever, and I'm going to infect all my other coworkers because I don't think I should be off or don't want to be off, and that's just bad. Hey
bad
guys,
stuff.
Well, I love that there was a solution that early. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, the last time I tried to take an online class was like late last century, early this century. And it was a train wreck. And if I had been a student still this year, I would have dropped out and just said, I'll go back to school later, because I know that that's not good. But like for a one-off like this, that's brilliant.
Yeah. No,
Guys,
it's been great.
We're
Go
starting
ahead,
to run short on time, and there was one last thing I want to make sure we had time for. I want to go around the room, and I want you all, and I'm going to give you a second to think about it if you need it, but I want you to vote for your favorite Apple product this year, whether it's an upgrade, whether it's a new product, the one that meant the most to you, or just whatever reason that you would pick it. I want you to pick the best and your favorite Apple products for the year. And we don't have a lot of time for a lot of commentary. If you want to do a 2 or 3 sentence about this is why, that's great. But, and I'm going to try to keep the same order as I did. We'll see how that works out. Guy, you're up first.
M1 Mac Mini, without a question. The M1, the whole M1 line has completely changed the landscape of computing, and the fact that the M1, all these computers with M1s are faster than everything else Apple has put out, aside from the iPad Pro and
that anyone has
Mac
put
Pro,
out.
I think has just blown people's minds. And I mean, like, I had a 2017 4.3 gigahertz iMac that is now gathering dust on the wall over there, with my 2 beautiful Dell 27-inch monitors connected up to this Mac Mini, and I'm astounded at the power of this machine.
Okay, good. Let's see, David, you're second.
It's a tie. Well, I will also say the M1 Mac Mini, only because I just got it and I'm blown away about it. So, I agree everything that Guy said about that. But iPhone 12 Pro Max is right there with it. I think what Apple did with it is amazing. The LiDAR cameras, the updated camera lenses, the speed, it just amazing. So those are both ties for me for this year.
Okay, good. Craig, jump in. What do you think?
Sticking with the mini theme, I like the 12 mini. Just kind of brought back that small form factor. I've gone big and I've gone small. In fact, I went big too. I also got the 12 Pro Max because I got work and personal phone. So I'm on both extremes, but I really like, and I like that first SD they came out with, and that small factor. I did go with a set, but the second SE was, obviously a little larger, but I'll stick with the mini theme and go with iPhone 12 mini.
Interesting. Marina?
Well, it's interesting. So there are a lot of things I like about the new phone and the new watch, which I both have, but I have to say they sort of kind of evolved in a way that I kind of expected them to. And so I think my win goes with the smart keyboard folio for the iPad, coupled together with the trackpad and keyboard support for iPad OS. Not just because it's so great in terms of like tactile feeling. It's probably currently my favorite keyboard. I wish my other keyboards were exactly like it, but also just because of the element of surprise that, it came out, it works so great, and it just wasn't something I was expecting. And so I think that's my winner.
Okay, good. Kelly?
I think I'm gonna have to say the iPad, the regular iPad, the mere mortal iPad that we got. And I'm saying that because it comes in at like $350. I think the entry level iPad is $350, and I can finally recommend the entry level iPad. They've closed the gap between the iPad and the Air and the Pro. Like if you really need a Pro, you need a Pro and you're going to spend that. And it used to be like I would tell people you have to get an Air because like the regular iPad isn't enough anything for anybody. I don't know why it's there in the lineup. It feels like a placeholder. It's not what it should be because it's like an iPad Touch with a great big screen. And then you can get like an actual iPad by going and getting an iPad Air or an iPad Pro, depending on what your needs are. And so the pencil support, like Marina talked about earlier, is a killer feature of that. And being able to get somebody into a computer, which is what it is. I know we've talked about those ads.
What the computer?
Getting someone into a computer, which is an upgrade from a 5, 8, 10-year-old computer, whatever it may be,
Yes.
for $350. And you don't need anything extra. If you want a keyboard, you can have it. If you want other stuff, you can do that. But to be able to upgrade to something that's faster, that's easier to use than the thing that you have that's 10 years old, that's going to have the horsepower to last you until you can't get OS updates for it anymore, and then it's time to buy a new one. Like the iPad is finally a competitor with the other two products. It always felt like something that needed to be dismissed until they updated it this year. So even though I have an M1 13-inch MacBook Pro and I pink puffy heart my MacBook Pro, I really, really, really love it. I don't know how they did it. It's magical. I love everything that's happening. But I think I'm going to have to pick the iPad as the best one because they finally turned that regular device into something that was a really viable piece of hardware for somebody who needed a mobile platform.
Good reasoning and good pick. Brittany?
So my first instinct was with Guy, because what will make the biggest difference in computing, like not today, not tomorrow, not next year, but just period, it's the M1. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't make the biggest difference in my life because my primary computing machine is in my hand, and I have one that finally fits in my hand. I dare anybody here or listening to use their phone more than I do. I don't actually recommend it, but I challenge you all the same.
You can't. Spoiler alert, you can't.
This is my thing. It fits in my hand, and I can finally use it as much as I want to. Do I wish I had the higher RAM and blah, blah, blah? Sure, but it fits in my hand, and I can use it as much as I want without hurting my neck, which is amazing and awesome. And thank you finally for making one, Apple.
Okay, good. In the chat room, we have in the YouTube chat room, we have a nomination for the MacBook Pro 13-inch M1, which sort of goes along with the whole M1 theme. Yeah. And I'm not sure. Paul says the iPad stand keyboard.
That's Marina's pick.
That's Marina's? Okay.
Yeah, that's my pick.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Which costs exactly as much as Kelly's pick.
That's true. Also
Sure
true.
does.
Yeah. And if you get a decent iPad for that keyboard, that all costs as much as as a MacBook Air. So, you know.
And
Yeah.
Paul
It's
says
all,
the older
it's all like stacking cubes. It's like a bento box.
It is. The bento box Mac.
and Paul says the
Yep.
older you get, the bigger you need. I'm not quite sure.
That's
I
true.
assume that means screen.
That's
but
true if you're farsighted. I'm nearsighted.
Who
yeah.
said that?
Oh, we'll talk to you.
Guy
we'll
can't
talk
tell.
to you in
It's
about
really
10
bad.
years.
My dad never needed the bifocals, so cross my fingers.
I was the last one in my family to need glasses of all my brothers and sisters. I couldn't believe it.
I
Guys, we're
remember
pretty much- Oh.
I was on the phone with my parents, my mom and dad, who are on the speakerphone together, and I was talking to them, and they were asking me, "So, what did you do this week?" And I said, "Well, actually, it was an interesting week. I got my very first pair of bifocals." And this dead silence on the other end of that phone line was so dramatic. I could just picture their entire life like flashing in front of them, and I'm thinking, wait a second, if our child is wearing bifocals, what does that make us? And then they simultaneously broke silence, and both of them simultaneously said, "Be very careful walking down the stairs."
Hey guys, we're out of time. But I want to thank everyone here for talking about all of this stuff, even though we went down a couple rat holes. I think it was interesting. And I want to go around the room and let folks know where they can find you. So again, I'm going to try to keep that order. Guy?
Yeah, VertShark and MacParrot on the Twitters. VertShark.com is the website. MyMac.com is the podcast, as well as Guy's Daily Drive and Mac to the Future Go that I do with David and Warren on Wednesday nights. Probably do one tomorrow night. What else? Guy at mymac.com is the email address. And VertShark is the thing to look for on YouTube, where you can like, share, subscribe. If you miss it the first time, like, share, subscribe. All you got to do, it's so easy. Go and enjoy. There's a couple of 100 videos there where I say things.
Great. Guy, Happy New Year. Thanks for being
Happy
here
New
as
Year,
always.
Chuck.
It's been a good one. It's been here on Mac Voices Live, it's been a good one. We'll leave it that way. David?
Find me at In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com, recording my year-end show tomorrow, and be talking about the year in review. You also find me on Mac to the Future. What's that?
Wouldn't that be Thursday?
No, I'm actually doing it a day early. So,
okay.
but early enough that I will be on Mac to the Future Go afterwards with Guy and Warren. So I knew that was why you're a little worried. You also find me on the Mac Show on the British Tech Network and here, of course. And you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Thanks for having me, Chuck.
Great. Thanks, David. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
And I'm still talking to Santa about the route he took to get you your Mac Mini.
We could talk.
Craig, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to promote, but we'd love to know where folks can find you if you want to let them know. Otherwise, go into hiding. Oh,
Now's your chance to
muted.
disassociate from the
Need
rest
to
of us
unmute.
lunatics entirely.
And you have to unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, not really a place to go. I'm just CJA on Twitter, and that's it. Been on for a long time on there, but appreciate you
Wait, you
welcoming
have
me
a,
to the
you
group
have a
tonight.
3-letter Twitter handle?
Three-letter
yeah.
Twitter. That's how long ago I was in. Yep.
Wow. A round
Wow.
of applause.
That's a
impressive.
2008 user right there, baby.
Yeah.
7. I think it's 7 even.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, impressive.
Wow,
sir.
that's legit. You should totally be bragging about that more.
Oh yeah.
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 I'll have to
Mine's
remember that.
5, and I still get people like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming, and you're welcome anytime. Come on back.
Thank you for welcoming me, and I appreciated being here and allowing me to have some input.
You want to know the truth? I think you made more sense than the rest of them combined, but that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, but that's really setting the bar pretty low there.
Chuck, we
Well,
can
yeah.
hear you. We can hear you. I'm
Oh,
right
darn.
here.
Okay. Marina, where can folks find
Um,
you?
I am on Twitter at Marina Eppelman, where I post comments on tech, Soviet flashbacks, and pictures of my dog. Mostly pictures of my dog.
That's an eclectic mix, Marina, but I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like that.
But is it a Soviet dog?
No, she's a German dog. She's
These
very
German
German.
shepherds.
So many questions.
She's, she's very, yeah.
We're over time.
Yeah, we're about to have an international incident here. So okay. So now we're going to try to up the game a little bit. Kelly, 20 seconds this week.
Okay. All right, let me stretch. All right, here we go. You can find me 5 days a week over at the macobserver.com, where I am hosting the Daily Observations podcast. You can find me on Twitter as Verso. You can also find me on the Incomparable Podcasting Network, where I am generally talking about Star Wars, but I also have my own show there called Greetings from the Uncanny Valley.
Wow.
Ooh.
Very nice.
Wow.
Very nice. Kelly, Happy New Year. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Chuck. You keep letting me back in the Zoom meeting, and so I just have to say, part of this is on you, but also thank you very much for spinning this up and letting us come
Yes.
give you grief and or heartache for an hour every Tuesday.
Yeah, well, I'm a
It's
masochist.
what I
What
needed
can
to
I
make
say?
up for not seeing any of y'all in person this year. Well, except for
For
Kelly,
real.
but only a couple times.
Yeah, and it was over there.
Mm.
I was over here, and she was
With
over
masks.
there with masks on. It was a whole thing. Yeah.
Brittany, where can folks find you?
On Twitter, I am the ADD Liberator. No t-shirt to reveal yet, Chuck. My website is conquer.consulting for productivity nonsense. There's a YouTube link that Chuck will provide in the podcast show notes. And thank you also, Chuck. I really appreciate this. This has been what I needed. Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you.
it's a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time each week to do it. It's a lot of fun. Folks, again, we do this Mac Voices Live every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Join us anytime. We'd love to have you either in YouTube or on Facebook. Until the next time, and as always, Happy New Year, and thanks for watching.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Everybody
Year.
do jazz hands. Thank you, guys. That was fun. That was fun.
Thank you.
That was fun. Craig, thanks so much for coming in and
Yeah,
sticking
I
with
will
us.
be right back.
Nice to
Okay,
meet you, Craig.
Yeah.
Guy has
Okay,
to leave
Kelly,
the
I
room
think
and
what I
chuckle at the
need
jazz
is-
hands.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Kelly,
Chuck.
what I need is an
Thank you.
automation that lowers my volume as alcohol is consumed.
Maybe that's the next
Okay.
Apple Watch sensor.
No, you
the
know what?
blood
Is-
alcohol level.
Oh, I hope so.
Ooh.
Yeah. What, Kelly?
You and I both know someone who would be happy to work on that because he can test it for us too.
Wait, what?
We know
Huh?
someone who's a fan of shortcuts who has
Oh,
been known to have a beverage on occasion who would be happy to build a shortcut.
The only problem is, can it make my my device change its volume?
That's a different question.
See, if I had the Apple Watch sensor, then I could, it could prompt me to change it, but
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
whole thing.
Who knows?
Sorry.
So I'm going to say goodnight to Facebook and to
Bye.
YouTube. Thank
Goodbye,
you all.
live stream.
Paul,
Happy New
thanks.
You're
Thanks
welcome,
in
live
YouTube
stream.
chat. Thank you guys, everyone,
Because we're getting off. That's
and
Goodbye,
Happy
live.
New Year.
All right.
Guys have been on